Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of the Homeric Hymn to Apollo, and I got up to line 526. So at this stage, Apollo has told them what to do. They've set up an altar. Apollo's been singing and dancing, and they've followed him, and he's pointed out to them this very holy shrine up here and the rich temple. Now the leader of the Cretans then asks him a question, and I like this little section here. It's always been, I thought, rather interesting. The leader of the Cretans is going to say, well, hang on, this is not a very fertile land. How on earth are we going to live? And Apollo says, don't you worry about that. You will live very well. This will be a very rich place, and people will bring their money and their gifts and so on. And I have to sort of smile when I read this, because having been to Delphi a number of times, when one walks, especially during the tourist season, up the main street, and you see it's quite a rich place. It's got very nice restaurants. It's a very lovely place. They have done very well out of people coming to the temple there of Apollo. So this prophecy of Apollo, I always thought, certainly did come true. Anyway, so he says, O An, now this is for Anna, which is a vocative from Anax. So, O Master, since in fact you have led, understand, us, Tele often takes a genitive. It's far from our dear ones and our fatherland, Patridos Ies. Slightly odd use of hutos here. It's something like thus perhaps it was, from Pelomai, dear to your soul. So it's something like, perhaps, for since it must have seemed good or dear to your heart. How now, how now also shall we live? This is, it will be a subjunctive, I think, with a shortened vowel. So how then shall we live? Anogmen, this is from anoga, which is perfect in form but present in meaning, and this is an athematic perfect really here. There's the vowels. There's no vowel in. There's no linking vowel here. So it's from anoga, bid. So we bid you, phrazesthai, to speak this, to tell us this. So the get, indeed, heyde, something like, I think, this land, and these are two termination adjectives here, so I think they're going with this one. So neither is this land desirable, and we have to say in English, there's no connector here, but probably have to say something like, is it favourable or desirable for growing of vines? So foros bearing trugae, these are grapevines, of growing of vines. Nor eulemon, nor is it a good pasturage, nor is it good as a pasture. So we can't have animals here, nor can we grow vines. And then hosts, again, odd use here, probably host for hosty. So as, we get a tet and chi, so as to live well. The apo here, I think, is adverbial, from it, and at the same time, opadein, to be of service to, from opadio, very fairly common verb, opadio, to serve mankind. So he's worried that it's how on earth they're going to serve mankind and also live. Tous de epimedesis, I like this verb here, it means smiling. So this Apollo, the son of Zeus, replied to them smiling, epimedesis. Ne pioi anthropoi, you stupid men, dus telemones, poor wretches, you who vouleste, you who wish, understand to have, melidonas, cares, harsh cares, and ponus and labours, and stania thumo, literally distresses in your heart. Ereo, I will speak a word. Now the reidion, it is neuter. I think that goes with the epos here. So it's something like comforting, or so to set you at your ease. The commentators suggest you have a look at Odysseus 11:146 here for similar usage. So I will speak to you a comforting, or a word to set you at your ease, and I will place it in your heart. Each one having, now the mala here is hard to translate here. It's sort of very much, but it's difficult to translate, I think, here. So each one having enchiri dexitere, in your right hand, macharon. This is a sword, but it's really a sort of short sword, I think, more like a dagger perhaps. Spasdane, you've got to supply something like so as, or it could be an infinitive for imperative. So each of you have, probably the latter, I think, each of you having in your right hand a dagger, spadzane, continually slaughter sheep. Sleep ta, which will be present, all of them, afthona, ungrudgingly. In other words, as many as you like. So you'll have plenty. So keep the sword in your, the dagger in your right hand to kill all these sheep, and that there will be as many as you like. Hossa, as many as the subject here is the pericluta fool anthropone. The very famous tribes of men, Anagosi, would bring subjunctive to me, such they would bring to me. That's where they're going to come from. People are going to come from far and wide, and they're going to bring lots of sacrifices. So you don't need to worry about food or anything else. Neon de profulakthe. This is a funny form here. It's profulasso. It's probably a syncopated, that is a shortened perfect without reduplication, judging by the ending, I think, and it's an imperative. So perfect imperatives are relatively common in Homer, but this form of this only appears here. So it means then, keep guard on my temple. Dedechte, we get another perfect imperative from dechmai. Receive the phula anthropone, the tribes of men. Of men, and then in apposition to that we get agarumenon, those gathering here. And now unfortunately the second part of this line is either corrupt or there's a lacuna. The editor here has left a gap here to show us something funny is happening here. You'll need to look at the commentaries. Some editions have, some editors have made up a couple of lines to put in here to try and connect it together, but it's not in the original. Ithun means purpose or direction. So the sense of this is here that receive the tribes of men who are gathered here and who are perhaps asking especially for my direction, so for direction from me. That is, they're going to come to Delphi to find what am I supposed to do. Now again, the next line here, 540, doesn't make much sense either. It's very obscure, and again, it's probably because there's some kind of lacuna. So all I can do is translate what's here. So we get A. So it's or. So your your word will be some way tenusian in vain. This is a word that does appear in the Odyssey, and it doesn't reappear in Theocritus, interestingly, but it's very rare. It simply means in vain. So your word or your deed, take those together, will be, we get tit repeated, some way, in some respect, in vain, and hubris, insolent, which is, or as is, or which is the themis, the custom of mortal men. So presumably he's saying here that any work you do or any word you say will be insolent and in vain, because everything will be done for you. I presume that must be something like the meaning here, but it's very obscure, and I think there probably is a lacuna. The last bit here also is very difficult. It appears to be some kind of prophecy. The precise allusion here has been disputed. Some see this next section as a reference to the First Sacred War, which ended in the destruction of Crissa and its port in 586 BC. And at that time, the Amphictyonic League, an association of Greek states centered on the cult of Apollo at Delphi, they reduced the independence of Delphi and began to administer the oracle and conduct the Pythian games. It's been suggested that this last section's a later addition, was not part of the original hymn. Anyway, all I can do is translate what's here, and you can read more of it in the commentaries. The semantores are it's literally those who give signals, so the leaders or commanders. So afterwards, or then, other men who are, there will be other men who are leaders for you. So you will have other rulers, at whose hands, by necessity, dedmemesth, this is from Damnazdo, so by whom, by necessity, you will be overpowered, hematopanta, all your days. Eretai toi panta, these things have been said to you, and you guard them in your mind. And then we have the final couple of 2 lines here. These are standard final lines, and you'll see these with various alterations in several of the hymns. Kai sum in hu to kaire dios kailetus huie, and you, thus, son of Zeus and Leto, kaire, farewell. But I also, I will make mention of you also in another song. Standard finished line. So you, son of Zeus and Leto, farewell. So you, in this way, farewell. But I will make mention of you also in another song. And that is the end of the Homeric hymn to Apollo.